Welcome to the Sage Advice Podcast, transforming the way people think and work so their organizations can thrive. Well, hi everyone, and welcome to our podcast. I'm Ed Kless, and today's episode is cut from another podcast of which I am the co-host, The Soul of Enterprise, which is also sponsored by Sage. The Soul of Enterprise is dedicated to belief that business has a spiritual, though not necessarily religious, component. I hope you enjoy this excerpt. If you do, please visit www.thesoulofenterprise.com for more.
From a mechanistic, incremental view of life, which we have gotten horribly wrong. Emergence is the process by which everything changes in life and by which systems are built. And it's been the hardest, yet most important concept the new sciences to really understand. This is how all of life organizes. So what happens in a system, in a neighborhood, in a habitat, in an organization at its start, not once it's formed, is that everyone is doing their own thing and interacting with each other. And it's through those interactions that something is, and what emerges is different than and not predictable from the individual parts. So here comes the chocolate chip cookie. So if you take all the ingredients of a chocolate chip cookie and lay them out, you've got flour, salt, leavening agent, butter, chocolate chips, possibly eggs, and you look at all of them, nothing predicts the taste of a chocolate chip cookie. Even the chocolate doesn't. And what happens is when you mix them all together, a chocolate chip cookie emerges as a new thing. And if you made a mistake in the baking of it, like you put too much salt in or too much baking powder in, you can't undo it, right? You
Right.
can't change it. And that's what's true of every emergent system. Once it has emerged, and you could be thinking organizational or family cultures here. Once this has emerged, it's not like anything we even wanted necessarily, but we're stuck with it. And in organizations, so much of organizational change has been, well, we don't like who we are. We didn't succeed at this project. So let's change the team. Let's change something in the values. Let's tinker coming from at the level of trying to deconstruct what we have. And the great teaching, but it's very hard to accept. When something has emerged, like a chocolate chip cookie, you cannot work backwards. You have to start over.
Right.
And I think one of the things at this time for all of us good leaders who really are trying to make sense of something is all these systems that emerged were not capable of being changed the way they needed to change. So we were already stuck. My 2012 book described this, So Far From Home, really described we cannot change the way healthcare operates. We cannot change higher education. We cannot change politics in all countries now. So what do? Well, we start over, but we weren't doing that. And now comes a period of great chaos. It's not yet known. I don't think the factors are known of how this is going to self-organize. But we will have, in the midst of this terrible breakdown, not yet. A lot of people are rushing to figure it out, but I think that's just a waste of effort. But how are we going to start over wherever we are? If you're a team leader, now you're starting over with whole new conditions. For major corporations and businesses, they have to start over with really, what's our fundamental business? If you just think airline industry or tourism, they're just, plummeting and falling apart. And the whole world that was structured around, the whole business world structured around business travel, that's gone. But what's going to emerge out of it? Well, we already know working at home is one of those things. But what is that going to require to create a good culture? I mean, we were joking about how people just turn off, put everything on mute. You can't hold a boring meeting on Zoom. Okay, people can just disappear on you. So that's a nice little possibility there. How are we going to create work environments that are truly stimulative and truly demand people's creativity and motivation? We're not there yet. Right now, we're trying to fit everything we've done into an online environment, and we're just depressing people. I think productivity indicators are no measure because there's fewer people doing the same amount of work, so productivity looks good. But what is happening to our human motivation, our human spirits, our desire to contribute and to do something meaningful? All of that is yet to be discerned. Right now, when I look at what's going on in organizations, I see that frantic, fearful senior leaders are making demands for certainty and goals and predictability. They're pushing it down through the organization on these hapless staff people because
Right.
they need something to grasp onto. So we are not yet, we're still in the breakdown stage. And to understand that starting over now is a necessity. In the past, it would have been a good thing, but now we're really there. And for really leaders who are intent on creating good work and satisfying work, we need a lot of rethinking of how to do that as we stay separated from each other, as we have tremendous loss in certain industries. So we're dealing with starting over, but we don't yet know the full dimensions of that.
Do you think this COVID crisis is, you explained really well how you have to go through a period of chaos to emerge in a new way. Do you think this crisis could be that point of chaos that will?
It could be, but I don't think it's going to materialize that way, because what I see already, and this is predictable if you just think about human nature, is in so many more people are just clenching to the old ways because there's so much uncertainty and so much fear in them. So for the people who are willing to really let go and encounter a new reality, then I think there's some promise. But as a generalization, I would say what I'm seeing now is just a great desire to hold on, to salvage. I mean, I'm seeing corporations put more emphasis on old policies now, and like they're not getting the message that none of this applies anymore.
For more sage advice, visit and subscribe at sageadvicepodcast.com.